I just brought home a pile of offcuts from work. So, in this video, I'll be turning these offcuts into some French Cleat organizer boxes that hopefully will keep my shop a little more organized. To start, I chose some good offcuts from the pile. These two were both 3¼ inches wide, so I chose to make that the height for my boxes. I then set my miter saw to 10 degrees and cut a 10-degree angle on one end of each board. I set my table saw fence to 15 inches and my miter gauge to 80 degrees. Then I cut 4 boards with a 10-degree angle on both sides. I used 2 smaller offcuts as my last board. After jointing one side, I resawed each board to around 3/8 thick. Then I rounded off the acute corner of the 10-degree angle that I cut on each board. I planed and sanded the side panels down to 5/16 inches thick, then cut them down to 7 inches long on the table saw, making sure to keep the 10-degree angle towards the stop. After cutting out all 16 side panels, I added an 1/8 round over to the top and rounded corner of each side panel. For the back panels, I again used a 3¼ inch wide board. I planed and sanded it down to 5/16 thick. I set my table saw stop to 4¾ and cut 8 back panels. Next, I cut out my front panel from this 2 1/8 inch wide cutoff. I cut it down to 20 inches, then followed a similar process to the side and back panels of resawing, planing, and sanding. This time, however, I set my table saw stop to 5 inches and cut out 8 front panels. Then I added an 1/8 inch round over to both long edges along one side of the front panels. Unfortunately, there were no 5-inch wide cutoffs, so I did have to glue, plane, and sand these bottom panels down to 1/4 inch thick. After ripping each bottom panel to 4¾ inches wide, I cross-cut them down to 7 inches long. I swapped the 1/8 inch roundover bit for a 1/4 inch straight bit on my router and installed the router fence onto my table saw fence. I then set my router fence to cut a 5/16 inch rabbet on the back side of each side panel and a 1/4 inch dado on the bottom of each side panel and back panel. I went back and cut a 10-degree angle across the width of each of my bottom panels. I gave each piece a light hand sanding just to take off any burrs or router burn that may have been left by the tools. Finally, I glued and nailed each organizer box together, making sure to get all the joints as perfect as I could. On the bottom of each box, the front panel stuck down just a hair, so I sanded that off on my belt sander. I once again gave the boxes a light hand sanding just to ease all the corners and edges. I'll be using one thick coat of Minwax sanding sealer to finish these boxes. I've been trying to organize and just in general clean up my shop lately, and up to this point it's been a slow process. Last year, a few of my friends helped me to replace the roof, I split the shop out, added some more lighting and shelving, and most recently, I built a tool wall for my smaller hand tools to hang on. Stepping towards more organization, I figured the French cleat system would be the next and most logical step. I've seen many different people use the French cleat system and all of them have great things to say about it. So I figured I'd try it out and see if it's as good as people say it is. If you don't know or are unfamiliar, the French cleat system uses two boards with angles running down the long sides. One of these boards gets installed on a wall, while the other is usually attached to an organization device of some sort. The two angled boards then interlock, forming a customizable and nice looking system. Here I am ripping some scrap hardwood down to 4 inches for my cleats. After planing down to 3/4 of an inch, I cut a 45-degree angle down the middle of each board. Both boards have the same width and angle. I did only install 4 rows of the system right now, but I do plan to expand this system sometime in the future. I cut, then install the pieces that will be attached to the back of the organizer boxes. The last pieces that needed cut out were some 3/4 inch shims that I cut down to 5 inches to match the organizer box width. I then sanded a slight angle onto one long edge of each shim to ensure a tight fit no matter which box it is installed on. And here's the finished product. I'm really happy with the way these turned out. They look good and organized well. Let me know what else I should make using the French cleat system down in the comments.